U.S. Supreme Court is debating a case about digital privacy, specifically whether geofence warrants are constitutional. Before we get to the case, a brief explainer on what geofencing is. When a crime is committed, the government can draw a virtual fence around the scene. Then investigators can request a warrant, compelling tech companies to share information on users who were within that geofence at the time the crime was committed. Kent Erdahl now explains how that applies to this case. Kent?
Well, the case involves a 2019 bank robbery in Virginia. Investigators were able to identify a suspect and convict him thanks to this geofence warrant obtained from Google. But the bank isn't all that's included in the circle that you see. There's also a local church and multiple businesses, meaning they had to sort through multiple phones.
The attorney for Ocala Chatri told the Supreme Court today that the geofence warrant used to ID and convict his client of bank robbery amounted to an unconstitutional digital fishing expedition.
This certainly will be a landmark Fourth Amendment case.
U of M professor Tim Johnson says the case is similar to one decided by the Minnesota Supreme Court less than 2 weeks ago, which found a murder investigation in Dakota County took the technology too far.
The geofences involved in this case, as well as in the Minnesota case, are all about casting a broad net and saying, let's look and see everybody who might have been in that area electronically during the time of a crime, and then we can maybe start narrowing down who we want to look at as our suspects.
In the Minnesota case, our Supreme Court said that law enforcement can still obtain geofence warrants to track phones around, say, a crime scene. But they say those warrants need to be extremely limited in both time and geographic scope, so they don't ensnare too many innocent people.
That's where the court is going to have to determine how broadly it wants to make a decision.
And based on arguments today, he thinks justices will lean more toward privacy than police.
It seemed to me that the Chief Justice and Justice Gorsuch were slightly skeptical of the government's argument in terms of how broad these geofences can be in terms of looking for suspects. And I think that that probably bodes well for some Fourth Amendment protections from geofences. Maybe not full protection, but some broader based protection.
Of course, we won't know for sure how this case turns out until the court issues a formal opinion, which isn't expected until late June.
Really a fascinating case. Thank you, Kent.